What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody's doing well today. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I will be reacting to the RFDS, Australia's Flying Heroes. This will be my first time getting introduced to Australia's Flying Heroes, but before we actually jump right into this video, I would like to check out this quick source explaining what the Royal Flying Doctor Service is all about, man. So we got Australia's biggest waiting room. The Royal Flying Doctor Service is one of the largest and most comprehensive aeromedical organizations globally, providing extensive primarily healthcare and 24-hour emergency service to people who live, work, and travel across the 7.69 million square kilometers of Australia. This is amazing. This is my first time I've ever heard of something spectacular like this. An airplane's gonna come pick you up? An airplane? Now, I know Australia was big, but I didn't know it was this big because I'm guessing this is why this service was created. Australia is so huge that you might as well just take a plane to get the point A to point B. Look, it's too big to drive. You gotta drive in. I mean, it depends how close the nearest hospital is to you as well. But living in a place like Australia, it might be a little far, so a plane could probably shave like an hour or two off. My goodness, imagine living that far away from the hospital. Oh man. But let's go ahead and check this video out. I am very excited and interested in learning about the Royal Flying Doctor Service because I have never heard of this. I didn't even think this was possible. Now, what is the cost? How much does this cost? Most people in America be like, I don't even want to get in the back of that ambulance. You can forget about it. Look, I'll ride with you, passenger. It's too expensive to get in the back of that ambulance. Oh my goodness, I'm talking about 100,000 plus. Imagine having to get in an airplane now. I mean, Australia's healthcare system is better than ours, but still having to get in an airplane? Oh, I couldn't even imagine. You know how much that might cost?
It's 6:30 p.m.
Little
A
desert.
resident of the Kiwaruka community falls off a ladder and is knocked unconscious. Found by a friend, it's clear that the patient has received significant head trauma and needs to be evacuated to a hospital quickly. In the most remote part of the Australian outback, there are no hospitals for hundreds of miles. An ambulance to the nearest hospital could take upwards of half a day just to reach our patient, whose condition is deteriorating fast, and another half day to bring them back.
What? A half a day just to get there? And then another half a day just to bring me back? Why my head shaped like that? It's like a peanut. It's all pointy at the top. That's the do-rag, man. My head is not shaped like that. Half a day? Just to get there, have to go back. That's exactly why I was saying this is probably why this service was created in the first place. I don't think the patient's gonna survive if they have to wait a half a day just for you to get to them. You can't even revive them right away or help them out and give them the basic treatments they need until you get back to the hospital because you gotta drive there for a half a day? My goodness. At that point, I gotta move closer to a hospital. It's time to relocate. I don't even care what job I'm working or this or that. It's time to relocate. That's way too far. Way too far, especially out there in Australia. It's so easy to get hurt. There's probably a higher chance of getting hurt out there, right? There's gotta be.
An ambulance to the nearest hospital could take upwards of half a day just to reach our patient, whose condition is deteriorating fast, and another half day to bring them back to the hospital.
That hurt
Another
my soul.
resident calls 1300, contacting the only service capable of getting there in enough time to give our patient a fighting chance before they deteriorate too much. The call is received by dispatch at the Royal Flying Doctor Service in Alice Springs, 390 miles away. Alice Springs is the nearest city capable of treating our patient effectively and the closest RFDS base.
Okay.
The crew are briefed as they start off.
So how often are these planes taking off on a daily basis? Or are these planes not being used on a daily basis?
And the closest RFDS base. The crew are briefed as they start off their Pilatus PC-12, and within minutes, Flying Dock 872 is airborne. The Kiwaruka community airstrip is not paved, controlled, or even illuminated in the same way as large airports.
Oh.
When the doctor's coming, it's a community effort to prepare the runway. The sun's going down, and without light, the run...
It's a community effort? You see how involved the people are within their country? You have to trust the citizens of Australia, to have candles or whatever this torch thing is. What is this right here? What is this thing he's lighting up? You got to rely on them to have these set up. That's like your light markings right there. The pavement all nice and flat. No rocks or anything in the way. Like, yes, you got to rely on the people. And this is how we need to be as a country. This is how we stay united with each other.
Community effort to prepare the runway. The sun's going down, and without light, the runway will be invisible to the pilot. A group of the townspeople set out onto the runway in their vehicles to quickly light the strip's gas canisters that line the runway.
Nice.
Less than 45 minutes after takeoff, the Pilatus lands, carrying a pilot and a flight nurse who checks our patient's vital signs and evaluates their condition. They are placed onto a stretcher and lifted onto the plane. The doors are shut, the engine is started, and just like that, our patient is whisked away into the night sky. Stabilized on the flight, within the hour, our patient will be received at Alice Springs Hospital. For a journey that would take maybe more than a day by road, this whole ordeal is over in about 3 hours.
Nice.
What was described just now is what is dealt with day in, day out by Australia's Royal Flying Doctor Service, or RFDS. Founded on the 5th of May, 1928, the RFDS is the world's oldest air ambulance service, standing at 94 years old at the time of writing, 2022.
Okay.
Like most air ambulances, the RFDS is a charitable, non-profit organization relying on the donations of others to maintain their life savings operations.
What?
Like most air ambulances, the RFDS is a charitable, non-profit organization.
What do you mean, most air ambulances? What other air ambulances are there? I need to do some more research.
Relying on the donations of others to maintain their life savings operations all across the Australian outback.
Non-funded.
An air ambulance service like the RFDS is truly essential in a country as sparsely populated as Australia, as there are countless towns, villages, and settlements hundreds of miles from the nearest hospital, and transportation by road is simply not practical when time is of the essence in a country so vast.
He said, okay, so they take donations from the people, and this is how they keep this service going. I think it's worth it to take it out of the taxes, if they're not doing that already, towards this service, just in case someday you may need this air service to come and pick you up. Then it's going to be very convenient. You're not going to have to worry about paying out of pocket right away or worrying about, the cost expenses of this travel fare. Oh, so that would be pretty good, man, just to keep the organization running as well. This is very reliable and convenient considering how far people tend to live from hospitals. Australia is huge, so not everybody's going to get lucky to be able to be 10-15 minutes from their closest hospital, man.
By road is simply not practical when time is of the essence in a country so vast. The RFDS found its beginnings in the mind of the Reverend John Flynn in 1912. Posted to remote parts of the Australian state of Victoria, Flynn saw that people who felt ill and needed urgent medical attention would have to travel for tens or hundreds of miles for days on end, using a primitive road system in primitive vehicles, or a horse and cart, or even on camelback. This method of transport was not sterile. It was slow and allowed patients to die en route, provided that transport was even available at all. During the mid-1910s, Reverend Flynn initially set up hospitals in bush communities under the Australian Inland Mission. However, this still left patients out on ranches outside the sphere of any practical medical coverage. Flynn had previously written numerous pamphlets on the subject, one of which, A Call to the Church, left an impression on one John Clifford Peel, a medical student with an interest in aviation. Peel soon wrote to the Reverend regarding the possibility of using aircraft as a quick method of communication in rural areas, something which the two discussed greatly until Peel joined the Australian Flying Corps as a pilot in 1917 and was deployed to the Western Front in Europe. But the idea didn't die with Peel's departure from Australia. During his voyage, Peel continued to brainstorm the project. While on operation in September 1918, however, Peel crashed while on a reconnaissance flight over northeastern France, dying as a result. Despite this, the idea did not die with Peel. With aircraft at the time few and far between, Reverend Flynn initially used Peel's legacy of improved outback communication with the support of innovative human/pedal-powered radio transmitters, transmitting Morse code, and the human voice later on as the technology improved throughout the 1920s. But the idea of a flying doctor service never left Reverend Flynn's mind. Throughout this time, the Reverend undertook countless fundraising activities with the aim of somehow procuring an aircraft. A handful of experimental aerial medical evacuations were carried out in 1926 and 1927 as proof of concept, and in 1928, Reverend Flynn entered into an agreement with the Queensland and Northern Territory Aerial Services, or Qantas to you and I. This agreement saw Qantas lease Reverend Flynn one single-engine de Havilland DH-50 called Victory, operating under the name of the Australian Aerial Medical Service. With Qantas pilot Arthur Affleck at the controls, the new medical air service set out on its first mission from Cloncurry to Julius Creek, both in Queensland, with Surgeon Dr. Kenyon Welch on board, and thus Australia had just pioneered the concept of the air ambulance. Even though it had to rely extremely heavily on public fundraising during the Great Depression of the 1930s, the Flying Doctor Service had made a distinct impression on the Australian public as an indispensable asset to Australian and outback life, using pioneering technologies to improve the ways of life and survivability of...
Now, I'm sorry for pausing in the middle of his sentence, but do you think that Australia will upgrade in the future to maybe a jet, something even faster? Or no? Do they kind of just want to keep the nostalgia of using this plane, and maybe it's good enough, maybe it gets the job done, you don't need a jet, but hey, if we're trying to get to our patient as fast as possible, imagine a jet. Imagine a jet.
Using pioneering technologies to improve the ways of life and survivability of those out in the bush. In fact, even during the Great Depression, the FDS continued growing and going from strength to strength, adding types such as the de Havilland DH-50s, Fox Moths, Dragons, Doves, and the de Havilland Australia DHA-3 Drover, and the fleet only continued to grow. In 1942, it was renamed to the Flying Doctor Service, and later given the Royal prefix in 1955, bringing us to the Royal Flying Doctor Service we know today. As of today, the RFDS operates 80 aircraft that are essentially flying intensive care units.
Okay, so there's 80 of these aircrafts. Okay, so that answers my question I had previously.
DS operates 80 aircraft that are essentially flying intensive care units. Their current fleet consists of 4 main types, including 30 Beechcraft 200s and 200Cs, 10 Beechcraft 300C and 350s, 1 Beechcraft 360, 35 Pilatus PC-12s, and 4 of their current flagship and largest aircraft, the Pilatus PC-24s, which is currently the RFDS only jet type.
Oh, okay, so I was on the right track. You actually do have a jet type. Look at that beauty. I was about to say, like, come on, you guys gotta have some type of jet, even if it's just one. A jet will do the job as well. And this jet is moving faster than that other plane. 100%, 1,000%.
Pilatus PC-12s, and 4 of their current flagship and largest aircraft, the Pilatus PC-24s, which is currently the RFDS only jet type.
Nice,
Each aircraft
nice.
is delivered as is, with none of the air ambulance interiors fitted until after they land in Australia. These interiors consist of what you might find in the back of a regular ambulance, such as space for stretchers, ventilators, IV drips, and other equipment that can be used to stabilize a patient before they arrive at the hospital.
This is nice.
Each refit of the cabin will usually take an average of 760 man-hours per aircraft. The difference between the different generations of Beechcraft aircraft in the RFDS fleet is largely mechanical, as well as differences in avionics, but their dimensions remain the same. In addition to the flight crew, usually just 1 pilot, the Beechcrafts have space for 2 stretchers and 3 flight nurses if need be, but usually only operate with just 1 flight nurse. They can all cruise at 312 knots, with a range between 1235 and 1806 nautical miles depending on the variant. The Pilatus 12 is the largest single type in the fleet, It too has the capacity of 3 flight nurses and 2 stretchered patients, although usually only 1 nurse, but has a minor lead in terms of practicality over the Beechcraft, as the cockpit doors allow the pilots to perform a walk-around without having to disturb a patient in the cabin. It can cruise at 285 knots for 1,845 nautical miles.
Man, we need the best nurses. We need the best pilots with a lot of experience, yes. And we need the safest planes. We got to be able to pick up the patient. We got to make it to the patient, and we have to deliver them to the hospital, man. We got to deliver them to the hospital safely as well. We can't crash or, have any issues going on with the plane or the engines or the propellers while we're in the air and we have a patient in here. No, we can't do that, man. How often is this service up in the air? I mean, these pilots need jobs too. They need something to do on a daily basis, or do they? They probably get paid so much that they don't got to work every day. But I mean, how often? They got to be on call though, right? Like, how often do they got to get in these planes and go out and go pick up people, pick up patients that need help, who are injured, who are suffering?
285 knots for 1,845 nautical miles. The Pilatus PC-24 is the largest type operated by the RFDS. Called emergency wards, the PC-24 has a capacity for 3 stretchered patients and up to 4 medical flight crew. With only 4 in the fleet, these aircraft have to be based across the country in order to maximize their speed and range in the widest radius. Currently,
okay, so there's 4 in the, okay.
They are based in Jandakot, as well as Broome, West Australia, and in Adelaide, South Australia. The PC-24 can cruise at 440 knots for 1,800 nautical miles, an enormous reduction in response time. The RFDS was the first operator of the PC-24 as an air ambulance, with it also now being used in Sweden and the United States in similar roles. In addition to these...
The United States? I know we have a helicopter. I mean, well, we do have a helicopter. We ain't got no planes. The U.S. ain't that big. The U.S. ain't that big. I don't think we have, do we? No. We got helicopters, though.
The RFDS also operates 2 Airbus helicopters EC-145s out of Perth, Western Australia.
Nice.
The RFDS currently operates out of 45 bases all across Australia. They are reflective of both the population centers of the Australian people and the availabilities of hospitals therein. As a result, many of their bases are located in the eastern end of the country. Their aircraft have some of the highest utilization of their class. For example, the average Pilatus PC-12 will gain only around 200 flight hours in comparison to the RFDS PC-12s, which accumulate an average of 1,600 per year. That's roughly 4 hours, 25 minutes a day spent in the air just for this single type, which is testament to how vital a service they are and a testament to their commitment to the Australian people.
Yeah.
A call-out can be anything from an infection to a major car crash and everything in between. It can happen anywhere, at any time. Sometimes they even have to use roads as emergency landing strips. The pilots and medics are some of the most highly skilled and most highly motivated, highly prized, and highly regarded flight crews in the world.
Oh, I know.
Ready to assist anyone, anywhere, at any time of night or day. This is the mission they agree to complete when flying to the furthest corner, delivering the finest care.
Hey, have you guys ever watched one of these planes land on a main roads or a highway? Oh, a highway is risky, but maybe like the main roads, like how he just found this quiet road to use as a landing strip. Have you ever had the chance to witness that?
Agree to complete when flying to the furthest corner, delivering the finest care. It is safe to say that Reverend John Flynn would be truly proud of his Royal Flying Doctor's service.
A legend. He's a legend. He's looking down right now, smiling at his creation. He's a legend. Creation? Invention? I mean, it's kind of the same. It's kind of the same word, but more so invention. I should have used that word. This was my first time learning about the Royal Flying Doctor Service in Australia, and can I say, boy, I am fascinated. I am highly intrigued by what I've seen from this video. This was my first time learning about this. I didn't even know that you had this service in Australia. I didn't know that. You know, over here in the United States, we have helicopters, but we don't really see our emergency helicopters in the air that often. unless it's that bad. So this was really cool checking this out. If you guys enjoyed this video just as much as me, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and turn all post notifications on. Feel free to share this video and channel to your friends and family members, and please continue to flood my comment section and suggestion link in the description down below if you would like to recommend some more of these intriguing educational videos for us to check out, man. And please feel free to follow my Instagram and Twitch in the description down below. Just go ahead and click on the link. It's going to take you right there. Everybody stay safe, enjoy the weather in your beautiful country, and thank you so much for choosing me to watch today. The love and support truly means a lot. I hope to catch you all in the next reaction video.